You know, my friends are in this network marketing thing. They all seem very similar to me. Tell me, why should I join your company?
It's the best company ever.
Why should I go with you?
I can create generational wealth for you and your family.
Why should I go with you?
Why shouldn't you?
Okay, I want you three to come up on stage with me. Quick, let's go. Who's one of your biggest competitors?
Myself?
No, companies. I love you, but just who's your, you have competition. It's okay, we can be real.
Yeah, we got competition in the market.
Who's a competitor?
Primerica.
If I asked someone from Primerica the same exact question, and I said, why should I go with them? What do you think they might say?
I have no idea.
If you really thought about it.
Nope.
What do you think they would say? If you really thought about it, what do you think they would say?
They probably pitch me on their philosophy.
Maybe that they're the best?
Yeah.
Who's a competitor for you? Same company? If I asked somebody from there the same exact question, why should I go with them? What do you think they would say?
We have better products.
Okay.
They don't.
Now, if I asked them that question, what would they say about your products?
They say they have better products,
Oh,
but they don't.
okay. If I asked one of your competitors the same exact question, why should I go with them? What do you think they would say?
Why are you going with them?
If you really thought about it, would they say something like maybe that they help create generational wealth?
I don't think so.
They wouldn't say that at all. Wouldn't
I'm
say
not
they have the
saying
best.
at all.
Okay.
People lie.
So what I think I hear all of you saying right now is that in your prospect's mind, you all sound the what? You all sound the same. Could that be a problem for you? Okay. All right. Love you guys. Go ahead and sit down. Now, be careful. I might bring you back up. And I've been known to bring a lot of people on stage. You might want to be ready, even in the back corner right over there. Yes, I see you with your hand. Okay, maybe sit down. I'll bring you back up. If I asked you to describe the word sales or selling in one word, what would that word be? Solution, what else? What? Relationships, what? Value, closing, what else? Okay, all right, I like it. Oh, this is an interesting group. Yeah? Okay, what if I like everything you just said. What if we took everything all of you just said and we wrapped it into one little word, and that word was change. You see, all selling is change. That's it. All selling is about one thing only, and that is change. So whether your prospects are wanting something better or they're moving away from pain, it's all about change. It's about how good you are at getting your prospects to view that in their mind, that by them changing their situation, that means purchasing what you are offering. That by them doing that, that is far less risky for them than them doing nothing at all, staying in the status quo, their problems stay the same, and nothing ever changes. In reality, which is more risky? Now, here's your problem though. Human beings don't like change, even though we say we do. And why do we not like change? Think about that for a second. I just said all selling is change, yet human beings do not like change. And why do we not like change? We especially do not like it when it's initiated by some pushy salesperson or network marketer that's ready to pitch their solutions too early in the conversation. And repeatedly, human behavior shows that we value something that is more familiar to us, even if we don't like it that much, job, over something that is new, something that is unfamiliar to us, something that is foreign to us. I'll give you an example. Raise your hand if you ever have a friend, relative, business associate, and they just complain all the time to you about the relationship they're in. Everybody's got that person, right? And you always wonder, they don't like the relationship, but why do they stay? Because they're human and they're afraid of change. See, that's what you're going up against in your prospect's mind to some degree with every single prospect you talk to. Now, how do you help your potential customers overcome the fear of change? It's quite easy once you learn how. If you never learn how, it's really hard. And you're going to, unfortunately, have to play the numbers game. I'd rather play the skills game. Who wants to play the skills game? You make a lot more money, you get to help a lot more people. Now, let's start here. Realize this. You're not selling the thing. I know you love to sell the thing, but you're not selling the thing. You're selling the results of what that thing does. On the life insurance policy side, general life, IULs, any of that, final expense, you're not selling them a policy. You're selling them the results of what the policy does when one spouse dies and the rest of the family is financially protected forever. That's what you're selling. If you're selling them on the business side, you're not selling them to get rich. You're selling them the results of what the business does for them, which could be to make more money, which could be to have more time with their family, which could be to be their own boss. That's what you're selling, the results of what your things do, not the things itself. You with me? Now, here's the question I have for you that you might want to ask yourself. How are you going to have a competitive advantage in 2024 and beyond? Lots of people sell life insurance. Lots of companies say they're the best. Oh, I know lots of network marketers say they have the best comp plan, best products. How many salespeople that you talk to? We have the 47th best comp plan in the industry. You ever talk to any network marketers who said that? Probably not. See, we all say they're the best. So how are we going to have a competitive advantage over everybody else? It's simply this. The ones who will own this upcoming market for decades to come are the ones who simply learn how to best communicate with their prospects. It's that simple. The ones who know what to say and ask that causes their prospects to want to engage, to want to open up rather than trying to get rid of you. So how are you going to have that competitive advantage? The next three things. How are you going to get your prospects to stand out in their mind? You stand out in their mind as the trusted authority, the expert. The next three things. Number one, becoming a problem finder and problem solver, not a product pusher. Product pushing is only going to get you in the numbers game. Could be trouble for you. Number two, asking the right questions, but at the right time in the conversation, and especially with the right tone. Write this down. Your tone is, see if I can pass this mic. Your tone is how your prospects interpret the intention behind everything you say and ask. That's how they interpret why you're asking the question in the first place. Are you 100% sure the questions you're asking are the right ones? Are you 100% sure you know how to use your tone to get your prospects to let their guard down? And number three, eliminating sales resistance so your prospects emotionally open up and tell you their real problems. Now, let's do this. I'm going to tell you a little bit of my background to show you how I got here. Because my background is going to show you where you can take your sales and persuasion ability, even if you're already doing well, and build your business to a level you never really thought you could ever achieve, even your wildest dreams. So I got started in selling 23 years ago as a broke, burned out college student. I got my first job selling home security systems door to door. Raise your hand if you ever sold door to door. Oh, so I know who my people are. Yes, you know how it is. They give you a script, right? They give you a couple books by the sales gurus. They basically drive you. Come out here, I love you guys. They drive you out in a van, and they basically kick you out of the van, right? You know what I mean? And they're like, hey, go make some sales. It'll be easy. We'll pick you up after dark. Everybody heard that? And that's what I thought, you know? And I looked back, I was the last one to be dropped off. And I looked back at my sales manager. His name was Anderson. He had the curly blonde hair, the surfer guys? You know how they talk? I don't have the best impression. But he's like, yo, Miner, remember, when you knock on the door, show them how excited you are. Show them your enthusiasm. Show them that you believe in the product, and they're going to believe in the product, and they're going to be excited. I'm like, that makes complete sense. If I show them I believe in it, if I show them how excited I'm about it, then somehow, magically, they're going to be excited about it and believe in it. Well, what did I know? So I started knocking on the doors, and I was really excited. And I started talking about my features and my benefits and how we had the best this and the number one this, and we're the number one in the market, and a AAA rating with the Better Business Bureau. And from the very first door, I started getting all these objections. What? They didn't tell me about that. We don't need it. It's too expensive. I can't afford it. We don't have the budget. We already talked with somebody from your company. I need to talk to my spouse. I need to do more research. I need to get more quotes. I need to think it over. Can you call me back a week, a month, a year later? Raise your hand if you ever get any of those objections. Oh, some of the people in the back, they don't get any. You guys are so good back there. No objections. Objection prevention. And I finally, after about, 7, 8 weeks of just nonstop rejection, barely making any sales, I remember standing on the curb one late Friday evening, waiting to get picked up. I'd worked 12 hours, it's like 13 hours. It was crazy. If you sold door to door, your legs are like jello, you know what I mean? You're walking around like sweat rolling down your chest, middle of the summer, humidity. I had made 0 sales and worked almost 13 hours. In fact, that entire week, I'd made 0 sales, 60 plus hours. And when you're door to door, how big is your base salary? 0. You're straight commission. So when you don't make any sales, you don't make any money. That could be a real big problem. And I remember standing there like, I wasn't a born salesperson like everybody else. I don't have the gift of the gab. I don't know how to do this. Maybe selling just wasn't for me. Have you ever felt that way yourself? Have you ever looked into your bank account and you had more going out than you had coming in? Well, that's where I was at. And I had my firstborn daughter, Cammie, on the way. What was I going to do? 22 years old. So I'm like, shit, excuse my French, I got to learn this. It's going to be a problem. So I committed to myself that I was going to have to learn how to do this, because I know you, like me, want to provide a great lifestyle for your family. That's why you got into the business. That's why you're here. Would I be right? Now, here was my major dilemma, though. At the same time this is all going on, I'm going to, let me go back here. So my manager picked me up. This is important. My manager picked me up, ex-Aim surfer guy. He popped in a Tony Robbins CD. 22 years ago, they listened to these round things called CDs. It's crazy. It's like, what? And Tony said something like this. I might be butchering it, Tony. Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. But Tony said, you will fail. You will fail for the simple reason you don't learn the right skills that are necessary to say, you will fail if you don't learn the right skills. Now, he went on to say, every industry teaches skills. But he said there's a difference in the skill level you can acquire. That some skills you can learn from certain people that are far more successful will make you far more successful. Now, I never really thought about that, because I thought selling was just selling. Everybody sold the same way, everybody got the same result. I didn't understand this. I was 22. So I thought, I was looking at a light bulb moment that it was like divine intervention from the heavens above. That maybe, just maybe, what the company was training me, what I was learning from the sales gurus, maybe they just weren't the right skills anymore. Maybe they were just outdated. Maybe they just didn't work as well. Now, same time, here's the dilemma. I'm in college, major in behavioral science, human psychology, which is the study of the brain and why human beings make decisions. Why does somebody say no to something rather than yes? What is triggered in their brain that causes them to say, not interested? And they didn't even hear. What triggered that result? Now, my professors, they were saying that the most persuasive way to communicate was over here. All the gurus, for the most part, and programs I was going through, they were saying it was here. We're talking exact opposite. So I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. What do I need to do? Like, how do I take what I'm learning about the brain and how it makes decisions and wrap that into a sales process with the right questions? How do I learn how to use my body language to cause the prospect to trust me more? How do I learn how to use my tonality to get the prospect to emotionally want to open up? So I started learning how to do this. I started learning how to use techniques that worked with human behavior rather than against it. And I started noticing that I was getting my prospects to do all the work. I was getting my prospects to sell themselves. I was getting my prospects to overcome their own concerns. And I was getting them to pull me in rather than pushing and pressuring, because who the hell likes that? You don't like it when people do that to you. Do you think you They like it when you do it to them. And overnight, selling became very, very easy and exceptionally profitable. Now, why did I just tell you my story? Because none of you care about my story. You only care about whose story? Your own. You're a human being. That's pretty normal. It's just behavioral science 101. Because I want you to imagine me within 4 years of almost quitting, standing on there sweating to death, no sales, didn't know what I was going to do, almost gave up. 4 years later, I was making multiple 7 figures a year in commissions as a W-2 rep. I went on to do that in 3 completely different industries after that. In fact, you might not know, but I did it in your industry. I was in your industry for 4 years. Top 150 people in your industry in the world out of 108 million people. Who's number 45 in the world? $2.5 million a year. Oh, a guy named Jeremy Minor. Who could that possibly be? Now, how long do you think it took me to get on that list? 1.5 years. I had no experience in MLM. I had no downline of 300,000 people I was dragging over. How did I do it that fast? Do you want me to show you today? Yeah. Okay. It's really easy once you learn how. I always say network marketing is the highest paid profession in the world. Sales is the highest profession in the world if you acquire the right skills. It can also be the lowest paying, hardest profession in the world if you don't acquire the right skills. Funny story. See that guy number 44? That guy's downline tried to recruit me when I was looking to get MLM, and he brushed me off, said, that guy can't do this. He's just a sales guy. Do you know what his income would have been had he recruited me? Oh, a lot more than that. Oh, you never judge a book by its cover. You got to be careful. Now, how do we do that? Let's have some fun. Here's the thing. Here's the thing I want you to understand. I wasn't born out of my mother's womb with advanced questioning skills. Raise your hand if you're born out of your mother's womb with advanced questioning skills. Oh, nobody. I wasn't born with advanced tonality skills. Raise your hand if you're born with advanced tonality skills. Oh, nobody. So, are salespeople born or made? I wasn't born with advanced objection handling and objection prevention skills. I had to acquire those skills. I had to learn those skills. So if a kid who grew up in the middle of Missouri on a cattle ranch outside of a town with less than 800 people can acquire those skills, what does it mean for you? It means you can acquire the same skills, right? You can, even if you're already doing good or decent, you can make 2, 3, 5, 10 times the results you're getting in your business starting today, right now. Now, how are we going to do that? Because it's all talk until we what? Start acquiring the right skills. Are you going to master this in the next 43 minutes? No. What's it saying? You can't teach a kid how to what? Ride a bike at a seminar. But do you want to start the path? Would it be easier to start this path than going through the numbers game? Who loves the numbers? Who loves getting rejected all day long? Oh, I just love the rejection. I just love it. I hate it. I really hate it. I'm going to put on the face that I love it. Let's be real. Nobody loves it. All right, number 1. Here we go. Become a problem finder and problem solver, not a product pusher. Now, raise your hand if the prospects you talk to have problems and or emotional needs. Raise your hand if your prospects you talk to have problems and or emotional needs. Everybody better raise their hand, because there's never been a product or service ever invented in the history of the world that doesn't solve those two things. Does a $500,000 Ferrari solve a problem? Not really, unless you're a race car driver. Does it solve emotional needs? Higher status? Want to prove to your classmates you've arrived, you're successful? Want to show daddy that said you couldn't do anything, that you've arrived? You got bullied by kids in school, you show them you're successful? See, it solves an emotional need. Your industry does both. Now, grab a pen and a piece of paper. I'm going to give you 23 seconds. You better be quick. And I want you to write down, because I'm going to come and ask some of you, the 2 biggest problems that your solution solves. 2 biggest problems, write it down. I'm going to come around and ask some of you. 2 biggest problems that your solution solves. 20 seconds. 2 biggest problems that your solution solves. Two biggest problems. Somebody tell me the two biggest problems you got, real quick. Okay, those are good. You know, when I got into this industry, I'm like, this is the easiest industry on planet Earth to sell in. Do you know why? Because I said, well, I'm going to ask you, how many people do you know that want to make more money and have more time with their family? Oh, everybody. So when I found out, I'm like, everybody's a prospect. There's 8 billion prospects. Besides some of the maybe the billionaires, I've got 8 billion prospects. This is the easiest thing on planet Earth. I came from B2B enterprise sales. I could only sell to like 5,000 companies. Now I have 8 billion. This is the easiest thing. Now, look at the two problems that you just wrote down. Just look at them. Raise your hand if your solution solves those two problems. Everybody be better raising their hand? Okay. So here's what I think I'm hearing you say in your mind. Your prospects have problems, and your solution solves those. Your prospects have problems, and your solution solves those. So why are most of them running the other way? What's the missing link? What if I suggested to you that the missing link, well, actually, you know what? I'm going to do this first. I'm going to ask you a really cheesy question that I already know the answer for. Can I ask you a cheesy question? I already know what you're doing. Who wants to triple the policies you wrote this year from last year? Who wants to triple your recruiting? Or if you just started, you're like 10. Okay, so everybody, now keep your hand raised. Keep your hand raised if you can triple your working hours. You can't triple. You already work 8 to 10 to 12 hours a day. What are you going to do? Work 24? I'm a hard worker. 30 hours a... You can't. So what are you going to do? Hope and pray it works out? So if you want to sell way more than you are, have higher closing percentages, help way more people, you're going to have to what? Acquire a much higher level of sales ability than you currently possess. Would you be right? Now, let's go ahead and talk about how we do that, because here's what I'm going to suggest it's not. It has nothing to do with your prospects or leads of why people don't buy from you. Even though you might, my leads are broke, my prospects are all broke, they just have fear. Damn prospects, oh well, another no leads to a yes. I'm just going to burn through my list, burn relationships. Has nothing to do with them. It also has nothing to do with your mindset. Whether you journal, meditate, doesn't matter how many cold plunges you take every day, that will not help you sell more. I can assure you. When the prospect says hello, if you don't know what to say and ask that causes them to let their guard down, there's no sale. Cold plunging, I love it for your personal, not going to help you sell more. It's not that you're not don't do enough personal development. I love personal development. Not going to help you sell more. I promise you. And it's not that you're not motivated enough. You're all here, you're motivated, and it's damn well that you don't work hard enough. Raise your hand if you work hard. So if it's none of those things, what the hell could it be? Okay. It's what we're saying. It's what we haven't learned how to ask. It's what we're not using with our tone that is causing our prospects to emotionally shut down, stay surface level. How many times do you ask questions and your prospects give you vague, generalized surface level answers? Did they plan on doing that before you started talking? Did they have a plan to do that? When you ask, when he asked me that question, I'm going to emotionally shut down and I'm going to say, sure, yeah, I might be interested. Did they plan that, or was it a triggered reaction based off what you just said to them or how you said it? Oh, let's start thinking about these things because it might help us. Now, who in here likes to read books? I love reading books. In fact, my very first sales seminar I went to was after the summer of 2001 when I got started in sales. Brian Tracy, anybody know Brian Tracy? Really good friend of mine, I love Brian. And Brian said something that stuck in my mind forever. He said, well, you guys forgot to give me 70 minutes. I only got 60 on here. He said, use your vehicle as a university on wheels. Now, from that day forward, I started reading or listening to 5 books a month times 12 months a year times the past 23 years on sales, persuasion, and influence. Took about 418 different courses on the subject. And in every one of those, it says 3 things. Sales is a numbers game. You always hear that one. ABCs of closing, and you have to be a problem solver. But as I thought about what problem solving actually meant, if your prospects don't buy from you, how the hell are you a problem solver? Problem solving can't happen before they buy. How are you going to, if they don't buy, you're not a problem solver. It happens after they buy, after you solve the problem. So if you want to get a lot better at selling, a lot better at helping people start a business with you, you got to get much better at problem finding. Now, what does problem finding mean? Problem finding, realize this, and I think all of you know this, when you first start talking to your prospects, for the most part, they don't even really know they have a problem. Would I be right? Or maybe they know they have a problem, but do they sit there with an Excel spreadsheet on Sunday, like mapping out like how many weeks, months, years that if they pass away, how their family's going to pay for everything for the next like 30 years? Probably not, right? They probably don't sit there and do that. So they might know they kind of have a problem, like I want to make more money, but they don't really know the depth of that problem. They don't really understand the consequences of what happens if they don't do anything about solving the problem. Because if we can't help them find more problems in their mind through our questioning and tonality ability, it's impossible for them to ever feel the need to what? Change. And that's why you get what? Objections. And the more objections you get, the less likely they are to what? Stop buying into the myth that the more objections you get, the more interested they are. How the hell does that make any sense? No, the more think about the laydown sales that gave you no objections. It makes zero sense. If I get more objections, the more, what? The more objections they get, the more uncertainty they have in their mind caused by us. Now, how do we get better at problem finding? What are most network marketers? I love you guys. Hey, I come. I know what's going on here. I was in that ball game for 4.5 years, full time. Most network marketers, I hate to say this, I love you. You're going to get angry with me. Most network marketers have been trained to be this, product pushers. Talking about our features, our benefits, the great comp plans we have. Oh, you know, there's this guy, I got to have you meet him. There's a call tonight. His name's Matt Sepoya. He's a multimillionaire. Uncle, you've got to come. It's the greatest opportunity on the internet. And then we start talking about features and benefits and how we have the best this and the best that. That is like taking a bucket of mud and throwing it up against the wall, hoping and praying that something you're going to say or something your upline's going to say is magically going to cause the prospect to want to buy. I call that hopium. It's a drug that so many of you are still taking. I'm going to take the hopium drug. I hope that slide 12 is going to magically cause them, because of the color schemes, to buy. That is a very hard and unpredictable way to build your business. You don't want to do drugs if you want to make a lot of money in this industry. Don't do drugs. All right, let's go to step number 2. We're going to start learning some tactical stuff. Step number 2, asking the right questions, but at the right time in the conversation. Now let's go back to where I was at. Remember, I was in college studying behavioral science and human psychology. Study of the brain. How do human beings make decisions? Why do they say no instead of saying yes? Why does that actually happen? Now, according to behavioral science, you might want to write this down, there are 3 forms of persuasion. Like I said, write it down, because once you understand where you are right now in your persuasion ability compared to where you could be, this will completely change everything for you. Now, the first era of selling, the first mode, I'm not going to give you the scientific term for it, you get bored, but if I said the words boiler room selling, what's the first image that comes to your mind? What's the first image? Boiler room selling. What comes to your brain? Would it be this? Would it be that? Hey, I got a great opportunity for it. We talk about the features and benefits, and we push and we pressure and tell them why they need to go into us. But according to the data, oh, the pesky data, that is the least persuasive way to sell. Hence, sales is a numbers game. So when we attempt to dominate them, when we attempt to posture them, when we tell people things, when we try to push, we try to pressure, we try to manipulate them, we are the least persuasive. It's just like if you told your kid, you really, really need to do something, and you push and pressure, what do they do back? They push back. It's the same concept. It's just the way our brains are wired. Now, I'm going to give you a few of the least persuasive ways to sell. Now, don't start throwing stuff at me. Don't shoot the messenger. Presenting. All been taught. Got to have a great presentation. 45 to 60 minute slide decks. Here's a picture of our corporate headquarters. Look at those nice windows. Here's a picture of our founders. They have the most integrity. Everybody says that. Here's our customer service awards. Here's our AAA with the Better Business Bureau. We have the best, we have the best. Which, by the way, like I said, doesn't every salesperson say they have the best product or service? How many people in your industry come up to you like, we have the 31st best compensation plan? You know, in fact, we've got the 75th best coverage. It's amazing. See, nobody does. So just so you know, psychologically, even if you literally have the best, your prospects, you start to lose trust. Especially when you talk down about your competitors. Do you know why? Because they are used to every single salesperson, quite literally, that's ever tried to sell them anything, saying what? They're number one. They have the best. They have all this. So they start to trust you less. Doesn't even matter if you're the number one. Now, you're not going to come out and say, we're the worst. I'll show you what to do here. Now, according to the data, it's not very persuasive if your presentation is more than 10% of your entire conversations. And that's the problem. We train 161 different industries, including yours. And in your industry, that is up over 70% of you talking and presenting. We got to get that down to 10%. That's a whole nother training. Telling your story. Hate to tell you this, nobody cares about your story when you're selling one-to-one. Whose story do they care about? Their story. I can't believe it. What about putting sales pressure on them? You do that? See, there's a massive difference in getting your prospects to feel so much internal tension from the way you use your tone and the questions that I'm going to start showing you here that cause them to feel they have way bigger problems than they originally thought they had compared to putting external sales pressure on them. I'll show you what I mean by that in a minute. And the big one, oh, you might get angry at me at this one. Throw me off the stage. Jeremy, what are you talking about? You must have got all the good leads, Jeremy. Assuming the sale, especially if it's too early in the conversation. That is exactly why probably most of the sales training you might have been through, most of the sales trainers say what? Sales is a numbers game. Would I be right? Basically what they just told you is, what I'm training you doesn't really work that well. So unfortunately, you're just going to have to work harder. You're just going to have to call more leads. You're just going to have to get way more rejection. You're going to have to get thick skin. You're going to get more no's to lead to the yes. Raise your hand if you really would want to do that. That sounds exhausting. Oh my, does anybody want to do that? Let's be real. That doesn't sound very fun, burning through your family and friends. Good Lord, when they have problems that we can solve. Now, what do we do instead? Because I know some of you, you're like, oh, I'm going through my list of 100. I've been in I know what's going on. I know what you're doing. Got my list. I got to call cousin busy. Okay, it's a numbers game. I got to get more no's to say the yes. I can do this. Yes. Okay, cousin busy. Blah, 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 blah. We start talking about it. We get rejected by the 10th relative we called. Here's what we're doing. Oh my God, I can't take the rejection anymore. Oh, network marketing, it's a scam. It's not real. I'm going to blame everybody but myself. Doesn't have to be that way. It will only be a numbers game if you use traditional selling skills that trigger fight or flight mode in their mind. Now, let's keep going. Second era of selling, consultative selling, okay? We are the second most persuasive. Consultative selling came out in the late 70s, early 80s with Sandler Institute methodologies, books like Spin Selling, Neil Rackham, college professor, never sold anything, by the way. And they taught that you needed to ask questions to find the needs of the client. But what's a potential downfall when you only ask surface level, logical-based questions? What type of answers are your prospects going to give you? Surface level, logical-based answers. And do human beings buy on emotion or logic? Emotion, you've all heard it. Brain studies prove that. So once again, more persuasive than telling your story, putting sales pressure on them, but you're still having to play the numbers game because you're not bringing very much emotion by asking surface level questions. You want me to show you a few surface level questions for your industry? We see a lot of scripts that come through our conference rooms, a lot of them for your industry. How about some of these? Well, let's keep going here. How about this one? Okay, you're in the car. Uncle Kirby starts complaining. He's like, man, I hate my job. Freaking boss won't even let me go to the bathroom. I freaking hate it. Oh, really? What else don't you like about your job? I hate everything, those damn son of a, right? Start to hear that. Oh, Uncle, well, crazy enough. If I could show you the very best money-making opportunity available today, would you be interested? And your uncle goes, well, what is it? And then you start to do what? Oh, it's amazing. We have so many people making so much money. It's crazy. In fact, there's this guy named Matt Sepoy. He's made him a multimillionaire. In fact, we have a call tonight. He's going to go over how the business works and how you can get rich too. Will you commit to coming to the call tonight so you can get rid of your job and make a lot of money? Your uncle says, well, how much does it cost? It costs, and you tell them the cost, whatever that is, and then they say, I can't afford that. Are you kidding me? Is this one of those MLM schemes? You know, I did that 15 years ago and it was a freaking scam. Sound familiar? Okay. Now, did your uncle have problems? Would your solution solve those? What was the missing link? Us. Not Uncle Kirby. Us. Why is it us? Because you haven't learned yet, how to communicate the right way, unfortunately for your uncle, his problems stay the same. He's going to have to stay in status quo, and nothing will ever change for him. You see, when I was in your industry, I wasn't willing to let my prospects stay in the status quo. So the question is, are you willing to keep doing that to yours? Do you want to change that? Yes. Okay, let's start learning how to do this. Okay, error number 3. We're the most persuasive, according to the data, when we get others to persuade themselves. When we ask what are called neuro-emotional persuasion questions. Now you're asking, well, Jeremy, sounds really good. How do I get Uncle Kirby to persuade himself? That's the trillion-dollar question. How much more, where would you be at in your business if you start to acquire that skill? Feel it, think about it. Now, here are the 5 stages of NEPQ. Once again, this stands for neuro-emotional persuasion questioning. I think you guys only put 60 minutes on the clock. I was told 70, so I'm going to go a little bit longer. All right, well, you know. Now, I don't have time to go through all the questions you're going to need, because Matt said he's kicking me off at 1 hour and 10 minutes in. He said, do not go over, I'm throwing you off the stage. Now, train a lot of people in your industry. The insurance, life insurance, general life, mortgage protection, IUL, that's the 2nd largest industry we train in the world. We train tens of thousands in your space. Network marketing is in the top 25 or 30. And I sold it, I know a little bit about this. Could be fun. Okay, so let's start here. How do you get your, how does society view salespeople and network marketers in general? Lower status. Would we be right? Even if you're making a lot of money, lower status. So how do you get them to view you at a high status within the first few seconds of any conversation? Okay? Now, should I show you, before I show you some of these industry-specific NEPQ questions, should I show you some predictable statements and questions that most people in your industry are still using unbeknownst to you that are lowering your status on a daily basis? Are you sure you really want me to show these to you? Because hold on. Here's my concern. I'm concerned that if I show you, there are hundreds of them. If I only showed you a few of them, that your next prospect you talk to, it's going to mentally, you're like, oh shit, I just lowered my status. Oh, I don't know what to do next. You sure you want me to show this? Because we got 2 choices here. Now in behavioral science, this is called social dynamics, raising your status. We have 2 choices. I always give everybody 2 choices. We can keep taking the blue pill, numbers game, work harder, get more no's to get the yes, go through the list of hundreds, hope it works out. Or we can play the skills game. Top athletes, top 1% athletes, top 1% business owners, top 1% network marketers, they play the skills game. Steph Curry in the NBA, does he play the numbers game or skills game? Oh, skills. Oh, don't worry, coach, it's just a numbers game. Just shoot it as many times, eventually you'll hit one. He wouldn't have made the JV team. No, Steph knows It's a skills game. That's why every day you see him what? Working on his technique, his wrist, his elbow movements, how he's moving. He knows to stay on top, he has to focus on the skills game. So which path do you want to go down? Skills game, okay. It's usually a lot more profitable, a lot more fun. Okay, let's go. Now, let's say when I do this, I'm going to show you, I want you to pay attention to my tonality, and I want you to pay attention to my facial expressions. Your facial expressions are the remote control to your tone. Because some questions are going to require more of a curious tone. There's other questions that are going to require more of a confused tone. There's other questions that are going to require more of a challenging tone. There's other questions where you've got to lean in and have more of a concerned tone, a tone that shows more empathy. And then there's other questions where you got to have more of a playful tone. Oh, just hanging out, being the boring guy. What about you? You being boring? That's a playful tone. Your tone is how they interpret the intention behind everything you say and ask. Now, I'm going to give you an example of NPQ questions. This is where you take the focus off you, put it on them immediately, raises your status, get them into results-based thinking over price or cost-based thinking. Now, here's the numbers game strategy, the most in network marketing. Oh my God, I don't want you to play this game. How about this? Oh yeah, I've got let's say somebody comes up to you at an event, not this event, just at any normal event. What's one of the first questions they ask you? What do you do for work? What do you do for a living? And you say, oh, I've got a business where I help people print cash. Who's guilty? Or your card says that, business to print cash. I know some of you are guilty. What about this one? I've got a business where I help people fire their boss and live the life of their dreams. Oh, some of you got that one. Do you know what most of your prospects are thinking in their mind? This. Salesperson, MLMer, run! That's what they're thinking when we say things like that, even though we think it's helping. It's lowering our status. So how do you raise your status? You want me to show you how we train people in your space? How I raise my status in your space to get to that level within a year and a half? Okay, let's say I'm at that same event. Okay, I'm going to show you a few things. I'm just going to put it up here. Somebody, here. I'm going to come role play with you. I'm going to role play. Okay, let's do it. I like to have fun. Okay. Is somebody part-time in this business? Raise your hand. Part-time? Okay. What do you, can I ask a favor? For this to work, I need you to go back to what you used to do for a living.
Okay.
I want you to think that way. I don't want you don't know anything about network marketing. You know anything about this amazing group in here? You don't know anything. Okay? You just tell me what you used to do. Before we role play. What do you do now?
I'm a nurse manager.
Nurse manager, okay. Let's see if I can do this here. Okay, hey, will you come up here and stand with me? Give her a round of applause. How about right here? Okay, you come closer. It's okay. It's okay. This is a safe place.
Okay.
Okay. I gotta look here. I don't have all this memorized. Okay, why don't you, we're at an event, you asked me what I do for a living. Go ahead.
So what is it that you do for a living?
Oh geez, you'd probably get bored if I told you. I'm sure what you do is way more interesting. Are you in underwater basket weaving? What do you do?
I'm a nurse manager.
Stop. Why would I just downplay what I did? Oh geez, you'd probably get bored. I'm sure what you do is way more interesting. What do you do? She says, a nurse. Okay. Look at the screen there. You just kind of role play with me there. Can you see that?
Yes.
Prospect? Okay. Just, but be real.
Okay.
You can make it your own. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, haha, so.
Okay, You don't have to say ha-ha. Okay, go.
I'm a nurse manager. I'm sure what you do is not boring. But what is it that you do?
Okay, if I tell you, will you not tell anybody? Because when I tell people, they start chasing me down, always wanting to do this, and I don't have a lot of time. What I do is, you know how a lot of people get frustrated by, working for somebody else? Can I go to the bathroom? Or they're just concerned about how the hell they're going to pay for everything with all the inflation going on. And sometimes they just get pissed at their boss for like not promoting them. You know what I mean? So what I do is I help people like that are in that situation start like a sometimes part-time, sometimes full-time business so they can start making more money. But like I said, just a bunch of boring stuff. Now, what do you think she's going to do? Oh, that sounds really boring. I'm not going to ask you what it is. Now, what am I just doing? What am I doing there? Why would I downplay something? In social dynamics, this is called mismatching. When you downplay in a sales situation, not all the way negative, but when you downplay, your prospects will actually upplay it. When you upplay it, they will downplay it. Oh, I have a business where I print cash. Oh, really? You print cash? What? See, I want to down. Oh, you'd probably get bored if I told you. I'm sure what you do is more interesting. Are you an underwater basket weaver? What's going on? Playful tone. What type of tone do I have? Playful tone. My tone is how the prospect interprets the intention behind what I say. Okay, see, that makes sense? Okay, stay here. I'm going to get back up here, and we're going to keep going. You good? You're getting pretty good at acting. I like it. All right. Now, on the flip side, what if I did this? You ever heard this? Here's the numbers game strategy. You know, our same $250K policy on the insurance side, it's 15% cheaper than what you have. And most prospects do this. Well, I mean, I'm only paying $80 a month, and that's only like $10 that I'm saving. It's not even worth switching. See, when I upplay, they downplay. Now, I'd rather downplay it. I mean, what's your name? Your tag's backwards. I'm just trying to help you. Okay, Tiffany. I mean, Tiffany, you're only going to save like 14 or 15% for the same coverage. I mean, for someone with your income, it's not even a big deal. I mean, you're only going to save 12, 13, 14 bucks a month. I mean, that's only like 150 bucks a year you're going to save. What do you think they're going to do? Yeah, that sucks. Most of the time they say stuff, when I would say that, you know what they do? Man, are you kidding me? My mom said every penny I save is a penny earned. Or I could take my wife out to a nice dinner with that. When I downplay, they upplay. Are you with me on that? Now, I do not want to get a call tomorrow like, Jeremy, I downplayed it and I found out, like, do not buy this. This is the worst policy ever. I do not mean downplay it like that. We have to learn a little bit better how to do that. Okay, you with me? All right, let's keep going. Situation questions. Help the prospect understand what you know, you want to just come up here with me? I know you're freaking out in the back. Don't worry. I have insurance. Okay. Situation questions. Help the prospect find out what the real situation is. Most of your prospects don't know when you first start talking to them. How do you build a gap to where they want to be if they don't even know where the hell they're at? You can't. I have to help her understand what her real situation is. So let's say, you know what? This is crazy. I must be a hypnotist because... Oh, I said an RN.
Oh.
Yeah. Would you?
What I am.
Mind powers. I don't know what's going on. Okay. Okay. So let's get back into it. Let's say I posted something, a Facebook post about a business I have, and you DM me like, "Hey, I might be interested in that." Every once in a while, you get that. Let's say we meet on Zoom.
Okay.
So we're going to start in a situation. So what do you do for a living? What do you do for work?
I'm a nurse manager.
And how long have you been a nurse manager?
About 13 years.
Hey, and forgive me, I didn't even ask you. Are you on your own, or do you have a family you're taking care of?
I have a son.
Ah, okay. Now, what did I just find out? You got a son. She's a nurse manager. That helps me kind of generalize what her household income is. That's why I'm finding out. Now, if I would have asked her, now, did you see what I did? Because sometimes you're like, oh, and what does your spouse do for a living? Well, why do you need to know that? Now, watch this. Oh, forgive me. I didn't even ask you. Are you on your own, or do you have a family you're taking care of? You will never get that. Oh, well, forgive me. I didn't even ask you. My fault. See what I'm doing there? See the nuances, okay? They will always open up. Because let's say I found out she was a college student, still living with her mom, and didn't work. I might need to financially qualify her to see if I can even help her so I don't waste time. See what I'm doing there? Now, if she told me she was married, what does your spouse do for a living? Oh, and she tells me he's whatever. Now I know there's what? 2 household incomes. And I kind of know ballpark what they're making now. See how I'm getting the whole picture, and I'm helping her get the picture as well. And I said, well, how long have you been doing that type of work? Now she's like, 25 years. Okay, so just a rookie then. Oh, see what I'm doing there? Okay, let's keep going. You ready? You're good. Okay, problem awareness questions. How do we get them to build a gap from where they are to where they want to be? How do we get them to find problems they didn't really know that they had? Now, I'm going to show you a few different examples. Okay? So, I mean, you've been a nurse for 7 years. I mean, that's a fairly decent job. I mean, what's caused you to feel like you might want to start your own business?
Well, I recently got a promotion, and I just realized that's it for me.
How do you mean? Well, how do you mean you realize why do you feel like that's it for you?
Well, unless I continue to climb the corporate ladder, which is not what I
What did they
got into
promote you
business
to? What did they promote you?
Nurse manager,
Oh, nurse. Okay, so what's above that?
regional nurse manager.
Why wouldn't you want to do that, though?
That's taken me away from the patient care that I'm known to love.
In what way?
That would put me behind a desk and just more at a manager role, not really taking care of patients anymore.
Ah, I see. And what about your, so when you're at work, where's your son at?
He's at daycare,
Daycare. And how many hours do you typically work?
about 8 to 9.
Oh, 8 to 9. Okay, what did I just found out? Did that seem conversational? I know we're role playing. Was that conversational? Do you know why? Because they use what are called verbal cues to bridge from question to question. Ah, and how long has your son been there? Oh, okay, and then what do you do? See how I'm bridging from question to question. You're not going to sit back in 2 seconds, pause. Okay, cool, awesome. Let me ask you, scripted, right? See what we're doing? Now, so let's keep going here. Why would I say, I do have 17 minutes left, not 7 minutes? Why would I say, I mean, that's a fairly decent job. What did I just seed in her mind? It's a fairly decent job. Why not say, that's an amazing job, or that job sucks, nurses don't get paid anything. No, actually, they pay me a lot. It's a fairly decent career. What did I just seed with my tone? Doubt. You see how my tone influences her? That's a fairly decent job. I mean, what's caused you to feel like you might want to start your own business? And now she tells why she wants to start her own business? Herself. Is it more persuasive if she tells herself or if I tell her why she should do it? Oh, it's about 100 times more persuasive. You see where we're going here? You want me to show a few more examples? Okay, here's another example. I mean, so now I wouldn't ask both of these questions. I would just use different ones. So, I mean, you've been a nurse the last 7 years. Do you 100% like what you're doing for a living?
I mean, I definitely love being a nurse.
What do you like?
I love being able to just comfort people in the worst diagnosis they can ever imagine in the oncology world.
Sounds like things are 100% perfect for you.
I wouldn't say 100% perfect.
Not 100%?
No.
What do you mean?
Well, they just continue to put more and more on our workload, but
More and
not
more?
really increase our pay.
What do you mean by more and more?
Just more responsibilities.
And not increase the pay. What are they paying you now? Well, just ballpark. What do they pay you?
Sure. I get a salary of about $125 a year.
What are you actually really wanting to make though, if you could?
Well, I want to be a millionaire.
Millionaire. That means different things. Okay. Now stop. Because we're going a little bit far. I want to say this.
Okay.
What did I just do here? Now, see, the first time I said, so you've been a nurse the last 7 years. Do you 100% like what you're doing for a living? 9 out of 10 people say, well, not 100%. They'll say, well, I mean, I like it, but not 100%. Not 100%? Now, she didn't go for it. She's 1 out of 10, but did you see how I looped back around? And I said, it sounds like things are 100% perfect. Well, I wouldn't see how I'm pushing her away so she does what? Pulls me back in.
Yeah.
Not 100%. See what I did?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. Now, if I didn't say 100%, do you like what you're doing for a living? Yeah, I like it. The word 100%, I don't even know if that's the word, 100%. Yes, it sounds like things are 100% perfect. Well, I wouldn't say, not 100%. See how I'm probing there? See how I'm getting her to what? Let her guard down and start to emotionally tell me why she wants to what? Change. Now, there's a lot more to this. I'm just showing you a few examples, okay? Let me show you a few more examples, okay? Let's go here. Let's say I'm on the insurance side. I gotta get a drink of water here. So let's say if I have insurance. I find out you have a 100K work policy. What objection could I possibly get at the end? That they're just going to use that. Why do they need me? So I need to prevent the objection from happening in their mind, right? That's called objection prevention. Why do you want to handle objections when you can learn how to prevent most of them? Oh, it's a lot more funner. So, I mean, you've got this 100K work policy. I mean, what's caused you to feel like that's not going to be enough for your son when you pass?
Well, I saw on a social media post that it doesn't follow me when I no longer work that job.
See how I'm starting to get her to tell herself why that's not going to be enough? Would that be maybe important to you? Or I could even say, so you've got the 100K work policy. Are you wanting to financially protect that policy when you pass so it helps your son in retirement? Or what are you wanting to do with that?
Yeah, I definitely want something that's going to protect my son.
Now we're getting a policy to protect the 100K work policy. That does what? Oh, you get a bigger policy. Does it help him more? Yes. See how I position that. So are you wanting to like financially protect the 100K policy for, let's say you're married, for Jim when he retires? Or what do you want to do with that? Yeah, if I could protect that. See, now that objection is goodbye for the most part. See what I'm doing here? Now, we do this. This is called an NEPQ identity frame. I mean, you know, good for you. We see that a lot. I mean, your son's lucky to have a mother like you that's, you know, selfless enough to take that burden off them. I mean, so they don't have to go through all that stress, you know, trying to figure things out when you pass unexpectedly. I mean, I talk to a lot of people, you know, and some people, they don't really mind putting that stress and burden on their kids that they leave behind. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Can I ask how come this is so important to you?
Protecting my son?
Yeah. Why so important to you now, though?
I would say the patients that I take care of, I see young, you know, parents leaving their young children behind, and I just don't want to be one of those.
Yeah, I mean, what happens if it happened to him? What would he do?
I just want to be able to know that if something ever happens to me, that he's taken care of.
That's important to you.
At least financially.
Did anybody notice anything I just did? Why did I emphasize? This is an identity frame. See how I said I talk to a lot of people, and you know, now, let's say if I did it this way. We do see that a lot. They're lucky to have a mother like you that's selfless enough to take that burden off them so they don't have to go through all that stress trying to figure out how to pay for everything. I talk to a lot of people, you know, and some people, they really don't mind putting the stress and burden on their kids they leave behind. You know what I mean? Yeah, sure. When you ask questions too fast, you give your prospects no time to internalize what you're asking. That is the number one reason they give you vague, generalized, surface level answers, because you're not pacing out the question. That's called verbal pacing. Now, did you notice what I did here? Can I ask how come this is so important to you? Why would I emphasize this? What did I just cause her mind to do? Now she thinks this policy, and she just told me and her why this policy is so important to you. And then I loop back around, so why so important to you now, though? And now her mind went where? Why it's important now, this time. You see what we're doing? This is the skills game, not the numbers game. Yeah, you okay with that? Okay, let's keep going here. They're about to kick me off. Solution awareness questions. Let's go. So what do you, there's other questions you got to ask. Don't just ask 5 of these like, Jeremy, I didn't become a millionaire tomorrow. There's other questions you're going to have to learn besides these. I'm just giving you samples. So what do you really want to make in a business of your own? Like what would be like let's say like your ideal income annually. What would you really want to make? Don't say $1 million.
Okay, I will.
Say $1 million.
$1 million.
Well, not the first year. Let's be a little bit more risk. Down the road, what do you really want to make your first year?
About 200, 250K.
200, 250. Now, okay, so with what you do now, like with all your incomes combined, how close are you to 250,000 every single year?
So I'm at 125.
Okay, about halfway there.
Yeah.
So if you stay in that job, just be completely real with me, but realistically, how many years would it take you before you yourself were making, $250,000 every single year just yourself?
In my current job,
Yeah.
I would never make that.
Why?
I would have to continue to promote and promote.
Okay, so let's say that we come in, we teach you the business, we help you get up to that level. I mean, because you're talking about doubling your income. What would you do with the money coming in?
If I doubled?
Yeah, what would you do with it?
Put my son in private school.
Would you? Where?
Hire a private nanny.
Where would you put him at?
I would put him at Legacy Christian.
Why that one?
One, it's really close to my house, but two,
Okay.
they have a good reputation, Christian curriculum.
What else would you do besides school? You can be real with me. What would you really do? This is off the record. What would you really do?
I'm a single mom. I would get a full-time live-in nanny. Yes.
So, being able to do that, what would that do for you personally?
It would take some work off my shoulders, but also bring me peace of mind that I have someone that he trusts.
In what way? In what way? Peace of mind. In what way?
Just knowing that I have someone trustworthy that that loves
Okay.
my son and
Yeah.
just
So
helps him out.
time to make a change possible.
Yeah.
Okay. What did I just do? Who's selling themselves? Who's facilitating that? Do you want to learn the skills game or stay in the numbers game? See the difference. This is just a role play. You're in a role play, you wouldn't even know what's going on.
Right.
You see what we're doing here?
Yeah.
Okay, let's keep going. I'm going to show you a few more examples, okay? Who in here has ever got this? An email or call. We really liked what you and what you had to say. We really liked you, but we decided just now's not a good time to start a business. But hey, we'll get back to you. We're ready. Keep in touch. Anybody get that one? What are you going to do? You're going to argue with them? Oh, the reason why you should do this now is because of blah, 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 blah. And how many of those people end up starting? Numbers game. 1 out of 50. That's why you keep doing it. Get that for you. Oh, yes, it works. I'm 1 for 75. No. Let's be 8 for 10. 9 for 10. I mean, they have problems. Why are you qualifying to the prospects? Who has the problems? They do. Who has the solution? You do. You're going to learn how to get them to qualify to you because you're not the one that has the problems. So why are you qualifying to them? So I'm going to loop back around. I'm going to call you, or let's say we're here at lunch. Yeah, that's not a problem. Can I ask you something?
Sure.
How can I communicate to you that you might be making a mistake without you getting upset with me? What type of tone did I just use? Concern. Why? Let me do it like this way. Let me ask you something. How can I communicate to you that you are making a massive mistake you're just making a big mistake, Cindy? Over. How can I communicate to you that you might be making a mistake without you getting upset with me? No one will ever say, you cannot communicate that I might be making a mistake. They'll be like, yeah, sure, what do you have in mind? Well, I'm concerned that, what if you don't do anything about this and you stay in the same job, the same income away from your son another 5, 10, 15 years? What happens?
Well, I guess I don't make a change soon. I'm not going to hit those goals.
Do you want to have to go through that if you didn't have to?
No.
Okay. You, from the conversation, you certainly sound motivated, but for you, why do this now? Why not push it down the road like unsuccessful people do?
I just don't have time.
Numbers game, skills game. Which one's going to get you there 100 times quicker? See what we're doing here. Okay. No insurance. You want me to? I've only got I thought I had 5 minutes. It says 30 seconds. What should I do? Okay. All right. Okay. So what if you don't do anything about this and you end up passing away years before you thought you would? How would, pretend you're married, how would Jim end up paying for the house and all the expenses at that point?
I don't know.
Well, do you want him to have to go through that if you didn't have to? Okay. All right. I love you guys. Now, as we end today, we didn't have time. As we end today, I apologize, our publisher could not get enough here. But I brought about 300 books of my best-selling Barnes & Noble, Wall Street Journal bestseller. I will be giving those away for free to you at the end, at lunch, and I will sign them with you. So if you'd love to come up, I'll answer your questions. I'll help you. I'll sign a book as long as you tag me on Instagram. Now, as we leave today, picture this. Last slide. Is training something you did, or is training something you do? Training is something you do if you want to be in the top 1%. Thank you very much.